Hello, good evening. It's a beautiful Sunday evening. You're welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GWEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, and our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to have the grasp of all that transpired in the show tonight, make a date and grab a Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happen here on the show. Tonight we are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are streaming live at Iron Port. Now we shall be getting interactive with you as usual. And so all you have to do is sit back, relax, and grab your phones and send us your messages and comments ahead via our WhatsApp line, which is 0538 037353. 0538 037353. When the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the show. Please stay with us.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome to the GPHA port of Takoradi, Ghana's first commercial port. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA, has in its quest to position the ports of Ghana as the leading trade and logistics hub of West Africa, embarked on a massive expansion drive at its Takoradi port, the first commercial port of the country. This has resulted in a radical transformation of the initial 7-berth low-drafted port, which was constructed in 1928, to an ultra-modern port fitted with deep drafted container, multi-purpose dry bulk, and liquid bulk facilities. The 16-meter deep dry bulk terminal is the deepest in the sub-region, with a total quay length of 800 meters. It is fitted with a combined 3-kilometer length conveyor system, which comes with a 2,500 metric tons per hour ship loading capacity, which has greatly improved ship turnaround time at the port. The Marshall Liquid Bulk Terminal is a fully automated liquid bulk facility dredged to -14 chart datum and equipped with automated firefighting system. The facility is fitted with 5 loading arms for gasoline, diesel, LPG, bitumen, and heavy fuel. On the container side, Takoradi Port's 16-meter deep Yield-Port and ATSL container terminal with a quay length of 600 is expected to receive container vessels in the third quarter of the year.
All right, so welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. And indeed, in the course of the week, there some staff of the Mechanical Engineering Department of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority underwent a 5-day automotive diagnostic systems training. I will bring you details of that particular story, plus the fact that the 2023-2024 year National Service Personnel of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority participated in an Inter-Departmental quiz competition. We'll bring you who the winners were, and then also GPHA senior staff retirees also held in the course of the week their 2024 annual general meeting. These stories and more, please enjoy.
A group of employees of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority at the Mechanical Engineering Department has successfully completed a 5-day course on automotive diagnostic systems to refine their know-how in the ever-evolving automotive sector. This has come in at a timely moment when the authority has in recent months procured and taken delivery of new machinery, most of which have automated components. According to management of the authority, this is a crucial step for the workforce deployed at the mechanical workshop to appropriately diagnose, repair, and provide strategic engineering solutions on the plethora of port machinery and vehicles.
The mechanical team are going to benefit because currently the people we have, some of them came from the local learning artisans, they don't know technology, and then some also through their own knowledge, somebody would say talent, acquire this kind of mechanical job. So moving forward, the technology, the diagnostic course is going to help them, equip them, and also help them improve their work.
Those days, you will have to struggle with things to know really what the equipment is suffering from. But these days, with the diagnosis machines, it gives you, what do I say, you feed into the system and it will come up with all the challenges that the equipment has faced. And with that also, you can know faults that have been ignored over the period, which shouldn't have been. You rectify them and you get your equipment back.
Course facilitator and director of programs at the Institute of Automotive Engineering, Engineer Emmanuel Yevuga said, in addition to keeping the staff abreast with new technology, the training will go a long way to save time and reduce costs at the port.
The last topic we discussed had to do with electronic development. So we made them understand that they must not remain in their comfort zones, but they need to improve, read more, do more research, because technologies are advancing. Yes, and true, very soon we might have a lot of electric vehicles flooding Ghana, and also maybe GPHA being an industry that will look at helping to reduce emissions in the country and the world at large. They will bring in equipments and vehicles that will be electric vehicles. So there, they will be able to know that they will have to improve, learn more, so that when such vehicles come, they'll be able to handle it very well.
The national service personnel taken in this year by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority have successfully completed this year's edition of the Inter-Departmental competition, demonstrating a commitment to the values of teamwork and continuous learning of yet another year group. During this year's competition, the national service personnel of the various departments gave presentations about the operations and dealings of their respective departments and how they tie into the authority's mandate of building, planning, controlling, and managing the seaports of Ghana. Following an exciting and educative turn of events, the Fire and Safety Department came out on top, with the Marine Department as first runner-up and the Electrical Engineering Department as the second runner-up.
It was a tough one. Days and days of putting ideas together. We had a lot of information that we wanted to share, but we had to work with the time as well. So how can you squeeze this information and still make it relevant? And so that was the most challenging part, but we were able to do that. We spent days, nights of practicing and just rehearsing and trying to get better.
Anytime we receive these national service personnel, we want to make an impact in their lives. We want them to take something away. So it's something that is part of our DNA, if I may put it that way, that we want to inculcate something vital and very informative to these kids, so that wherever they will go, they will be able to demonstrate that at least they've handled something from the department.
The president of the National Service Personnel Association of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Derek Tumde, said, in addition to giving the personnel the opportunity to improve on their research and presentation skills, the event engendered team spirit, unity, and fair competition among them.
It has been a great experience so far. Today, witnessing what happened, I enjoyed a lot. Even though I'm from IT, I got to know what HR does, what internal audit is all about, what fishing harbour is all about. This competition has been a great one. Just because I'm from IT doesn't mean I am supposed to know about only IT things. I got to know that, yes, Marine also talks about Beth, Steve Dorr, and others.
Judges of the competition, who happen to be management members of the authority, emphasized that this competition promotes practical understanding of port processes and should be encouraged.
Yes, the port enclave is a very technical area. You have a lot of disciplines around the port enclave. So for us, it's good and it's very impressive to see young ones who come to the port to at least come and understand some of the things that they see as vague when they hear outside, having experience with the port activities right down from quay all the way to the handling of cargo, which I think is a very good thing for the national service persons as they step out of GPHA.
As a national service person, it is for me a privilege to learn a lot. So what the young ones learned in school, various schools, various qualifications, certifications, when they come here, they appreciate what they learned, because here is a field. It's an industry, a unique industry that gives them the opportunity, the privilege to learn so much and to serve. The word is service. So when they come here, it's a privilege for them to learn and to serve. It empowers them for various careers hereafter.
This year's annual general meeting of the GPHA Senior Staff Retirees Association has been held in Tema, providing an opportunity to discuss the welfare of members in an official gathering. The day also served as an opportunity to call on non-members to voluntarily join the association, which serves as an extended avenue for retired GPHA senior officers to participate as stakeholders of the port community. The meeting was attended by current Director of Port, Sandro Poku, and former Directors of Port, Jacob Adoko and Gordon Enim. Executives of the association praised top management of the authority, who continue to take keen interest in the affairs of the association.
We are expressing our profound gratitude to GPHA management for their immense support, both financially and materially, towards the welfare of all retired senior officers. We appreciate them very much and continually pray that God Almighty grant management and entire workforce vibrant, successful, and peaceful business and environment.
Takoradi Port continues to be open to us by allowing us to use their clubhouse facility for our monthly executive committee and general meetings without any let or hindrance. Whenever the place is unavailable, alternative venues are provided to us accordingly. The provision of office accommodation for us has progressed steadily, and we are confident that the remaining office appliances will be provided very soon.
Management has been very helpful to the association, but there are still outstanding issues pending before management that I wish to draw attention to. The first one is medical care for retired officers for life. Chairman, some measures have been taken or have been rolled out to ease the problem on retired officers who are 70 years and above, pending a permanent solution being worked out by management. We are very grateful for that.
The director of Port Tema, Sandro Poku, reassured the Retirees Association of management's commitment to meeting their needs where possible.
Once again, so we'll do our best as management to listen to what you brought and to adjust to make sure that we give you what you want. You might not always get what you want.
Former directors of Port, Jacob Adoko and Gordon Enim, who have served in the past as patrons of the association, gave their remarks.
We need the rest to join us. So if we know our friends who are gone, but they don't want to come, please bring them so that we can all together move this association. Because if we are many, everything that we say, they will listen to us. But if we are few, and I think our association is the few which are still in operation in Ghana.
Some of the issues that we've raised has been heard by us, and we will try to do our best to follow some of them up. I think the chairman is ready to compile some of the issues raised, and in my own capacity, I also have private discussions with the DG and the directors of Port so that some of them are met.
The GPHA Retired Senior Officers Association is made up of 260 active members covering Tema and Takoradi. They meet monthly and interact through educational lectures, health talks and screenings, keep fit exercises, and religious fellowships, among others. Staff and dependents of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, as well as the wider port community, are being called upon to join the GPHA Fitness Club to improve upon their health. This call was made when the fitness club took to the AstroTurf in Community 2 Tema near the Mexico School for an outdoor night workout in collaboration with affiliate clubs in Tema and Accra. The chief physical training instructor at the GPHA Fitness Club, Warrant Officer Suleimana Mohammed Ayamga, who was speaking exclusively to Eye on Port, said, in addition to the opportunity to keep fit 3 days every week, new club members get to be a part of a vibrant social community of like-minded individuals. He said the various sessions and routines adopted by the GPHA Fitness Club cannot be found anywhere in Ghana. Hence, staff of the authority should jump at this opportunity to keep fit.
GPHA is not only in the port. We don't do only the port work, or we don't do only clearing or security work at the port, but we also do fitness, and fitness is the most important to our life. If your men are physically fit, they will be more what? They will not be medical what? Sick. The authority has built the hall for us to what? Exercise. You see, we built a hall for us to exercise, but most of us don't patronize it. We want them to know that when you take this and put onto your TV, they will know that this is what we do at the gym. Look at the activity we do here. You can't find it anywhere in the country. This is the only place we can get it.
Joining him was Samuel Ajete, a retired deputy security manager who urged his colleague retirees and workers at the port to take a cue from this critical lifestyle decision he has made and register at the GPHA Fitness Club.
Now that I'm going to tell them, they know, and up to now they know. I want them to still look at me. That even though I'm gone and the years are going, I'm fitter than even before. and should tell them that, look, it's a good thing and all of us need to watch.
The GPHA Fitness Club holds aerobic sessions at the GPHA Sports Hall near the Junior Staff Clubhouse in Tema Community 2 each Monday and Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 6 a.m.
All right, so those were some happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. We are now going to take the word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word is tramping. Tramping.
Tramping consists of placing a ship on the charter market in special exchange centers. The transaction is entrusted to a shipbroker who draws up a contract between the ship owner and the charterer, normally a large shipper seeking a vessel for occasional transport or another ship owner. The contract concluded between the two parties is called a charter party.
All right, welcome back. We are now zooming into our discussion proper tonight. Tonight we are taking a look at supply chain, the resilience of it, and how we can, as it were, curtail or manage organizational risks and disruptions. This topic has come about because we think that it's very, very crucial. Anything disrupt the supply chain, it affects global trade, it affects international trade, and as organizations who facilitate international trade, it's very imperative that you take steps, so to speak, to curtail or to forestall some of these occurrences. I wouldn't want to visit the past where we saw some disruptions in operations in certain ports across the globe following some hacks into their systems and all that. And so we want to perhaps examine this particular topic tonight, and it gives me pleasure to introduce to us some fellows, so to speak, from the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT Ghana. They're also executives, at that particular outfit. They'll be sharing some knowledge with us as far as supply chain resilience is concerned and how to manage the risks and disruptions. And so first of all, I would introduce to us Mr. Ephraim Asare, who's a fellow of CILT Ghana. He's also the vice president in charge of logistics at CILT Ghana. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Thank you.
Also, Mr. Asare is no stranger to our import. He's been here on a couple of times. Indeed, we also have Mr. Patrick Ando, who is also a fellow at Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport Ghana. He's also the executive secretary of CILT Ghana. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Thank you, Bernard.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Kennedy, Bernard is a politician.
Oh, Kennedy, yeah.
Awesome. We are glad to have you tonight.
Thank you.
Great. So let me begin with Mr. Asare, and if you can take us back to basics and then perhaps explain to us what supply chain is.
Thank you very much. Yes, simply put, it is all that is involved in the creation of a commodity from the supply stage to the end user.
Right.
It encompasses the various companies, the technology that they deploy in manufacturing.
Right.
From supply to the manufacturing house or production house, again, continuing to the inventory, stock taking, warehousing, and then to the market center and distribution agencies.
Right.
Before finally landing at the consumer's table. Or apartment. In between this is transportation and all that is needed for the movement from supply to the end user. That is the supply chain. It is a complex, integrated enterprise.
Let me stay with you a bit more and find out from you what you see our situation as a country is in terms of supply chain. Have you done any assessment to know what our current situation as a country is?
Well, notably, there is some level of resilience. The backdrop is that, yes, procurement is going on. There's production going on in various sectors.
Right.
Trade is happening internationally and internally.
Right.
Yes, logistics movement is there. So we are, as a nation, taking part actively in trade.
Right.
However, there are challenges. Yes, these challenges are, you see, existence is a feature, challenges is a feature of existence. And we need to acknowledge this.
Right.
God has created man to find solution to challenges. We don't throw our hands in despair and get scared. So, yes, there are shortages in raw material supply.
Right.
There are delays in delivery processes. Climate change is having its toll also. While there is flooding in some areas of the country, disturbing crop, there's also drought in certain areas where you cannot get sufficient water for agricultural production. So all that matters. Reputational issues are also there. You don't have to use a child labor in production.
Yes.
The United Nations frowns on some of these things, and NGOs. Sometimes there is a spike in demand.
Yes.
How quickly do you respond to those challenges?
Yes.
So these are real issues. I have always contended that the business enterprise should consider himself like a combatant in a boxing ring.
Right.
You want to win a fight. If you are not careful and a stray blow hits you, uppercut, you get knocked down to the canvas.
Yes.
But you don't remain there.
Yeah.
The referee gives you an opportunity to give you a 10 count to get back to your feet. So you must build some resilience. Resilience. And then be up your game to be able to respond to whatever challenges and risk. You will have to take risk.
Right.
But you must learn also to mitigate the risk. So you employ information technology, AI, all that is necessary to aid you in your production to be able to sustain and then keep going.
Yeah. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Ando and find out from you. Suffice it to say, if anything happens to the global supply chain system, definitely Ghana is going to be affected as well, because we are not an island. We are, part of the global chain. So I just want to find out from you if you can tell us the state of supply chain globally. And then maybe you can also come and zero in on some of the challenges that we are facing. Mr. Asari made mention of shortages in raw material supplies and delays in deliveries, and sometimes the use of child labor in production and all that. I mean, challenges that mitigate as far as, supply chain is concerned. Can we hear from you what the situation currently is globally?
All right.
Yes.
Bernard, good evening to you again. And
Kennedy.
I want to...
Kennedy again. I understand. No worries.
And a very good evening to all our viewers.
Yes,
and special greetings to all supply chain experts, logisticians across the length and breadth of this country. They are doing a great job.
Absolutely.
And kudos to them. Let me just do a little additional work of what my senior Masari did.
Right.
When you take every organization, there is supply chain.
Right.
Supply chain is almost everywhere. Be it a corporate organization or multinational, you will still have supply chain in there. As a matter of fact, the backbone for all successful organizations become the supply chain.
Right.
Interestingly, if a country's supply chain is threatened, there's a challenge to its economy.
Right.
And when supply chain also faces challenge in organizations, the free flow of products and services will also break down.
Right.
So every corner that you see across the length and breadth of this country, every SME enterprise that you see, there's a supply chain.
Right.
But they may not know that they are practicing supply chain. So it's an area that much attention must be looked at. We didn't hear much about supply chain until the pandemic COVID came. And interestingly, today, if you pick 10 speeches of world leaders, you come across the term supply chain in 8 of them.
Yes.
But before 5 years ago, you can pick leaders' speeches and you may hardly come across the term supply chain. It simply gives you the clue that it has become a function within organizations, within countries, where if attention is not given, we are in trouble.
Right.
When I take myself, for example, what is the essence of my backbone? It simply makes me to sit straight. It simply gives me the movement that I do. So if a country wants to have a strong backbone to ensure that it has the best in whatever you do, it becomes the supply chain.
Yes.
If a corporate organization wants to succeed and be the competitive edge, it's not branding, it's not marketing, it's not sales, it becomes supply chain. Right. So it's very, very important that countries, nations, multinationals, SMEs put much emphasis on ensuring that they have a strong, robust, radical supply chain so that it can withstand all challenges that really come in. He mentioned quite a lot of challenges that managers are facing, supply chain managers are facing when it comes to their supply chain.
Yes.
For the sake of time, I will just mention only two.
Okay.
When you pick supply chain directors and managers, one of the key challenges they are facing on their diary has to do with cost. Of transportation. When you check the global trends of how things are moving and you check locally how things continue to change, it tells you that when you pick all supply chain managers into a boardroom, one of the critical challenges they face is a cost. Right. The item they bought in June, when they go back to buy the same item, it has changed.
Yes.
And not just the item which has changed, but even the transportation of the item, it's warehousing, it has totally changed. So almost every day, they go back to boardroom and they just wonder, how can they be out of this woes? And it's one of the challenges they face. But like Mr. Asari rightly said, we are born to solve challenges and bring troubles. We made you a manager, we'll make you a director, not to come and just put your hands on your head, but we'll make you a manager to ensure that challenges come on your way, that you also solve them. Beyond cost, which is quite threatening, become one of the top three. The next is, when you look at our supply chain, it's a interconnected of activities, programs, functions, and sometimes they are not local in nature. They are scattered all across the world.
Right.
I wanted to just give an example to make my explanation quite easily. Okay. 1, 2, 3 years ago, Rana Motors, they are the sole distributor of Kia vehicles in Ghana. And for the first time, they now have what we call assembly plants in town.
Yeah, sure.
So it simply means that Ghana now produces vehicles there. So now when you take them, the production of a car alone, the different types and different parts of the car come across the whole world. The tires may come from a country, the batteries may come from somewhere else, the bonnet can come from. So at the end of the day, the supply chain director who sit there and coordinate all these activities, one of his challenges is the fragmented nature of where all these parts are coming from. So sit back.
It's not just a one-stop shop where he goes and gets everything.
And all these parts are coming from different countries. The tires are coming from somewhere, the bonnets are coming from somewhere. So you sit back, you look at, he has many tiers, and that is his challenge.
Right.
He go to Germany and get to know that the same thing that he bought, the price has changed. He come to China, which is the base, he come there, the troubles in there. So he sit back, he has more than about 5,000 or 6,000. And I'm just using Rana Motor, for example. So he sit back and look back and say, he has a huge fragmented suppliers and within the chain. And sometimes the suppliers, they have their suppliers.
Absolutely.
So when the supplier fails, it means that the main manufacturer also failed. And at the end of the day, he also failed meeting a demand which probably had been given in August or so. So this also becomes challenge for all supply chain managers, be it a small in nature, be it a big in nature. And that is one of the challenges they also really face in that.
Right.
Good.
Okay, so that explains why Mr. Asari said there are delays in deliveries, because if you fail to acquire your materials or you cannot get your materials to come and put your product together, the tendency that you would, as it were, fail to meet the timelines given to you by the one that is demanding the product is very high.
Excellent. You see, the term is supply chain, chain of supply,
Mm.
and interestingly, it's not linear.
Right.
It's not straight line to think that. And what happens is when one function within the chain breaks, the ripple effect finally affect the consumer or the end user. So when the tier one or the supplier or the retailer fails or the transporter fails, automatically its ripple effect also affects the customer. So it becomes an awesome responsibility for the supply chain man to ensure that almost every day, he has a similar system.
Absolutely.
If challenges come, what can he do? What is his plan B? What is plan C? What is the contingency? To ensure that the end user doesn't really suffer from the woes. Mind you, the end user cares less about your functions. All that he's looking for is his product. He doesn't want to hear stories. So it's one of our huge challenges to ensure that regardless of all the troubles and challenges come, we will still ensure that we cater for the end user or the consumer, who at the end of the day becomes the person who pays.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, Mr. Asari, from his submission, it's crystal clear that the biggest challenge facing companies and many a supply chain manager or director has to do with the issue of transportation. How would you say this issue of transportation has impacted the supply chain, as it were, industry?
Yes. That is why logistics and transport plays a very key role in the supply chain transactions.
Yes.
Once you are moving the product from the supplier from the various stages, transportation comes in. That is why logistics sits down to plan and look at how effectively. There are two words here: effectiveness and efficiency.
Yes.
You are effective when you harness all material and human resources to execute a task.
Right.
You have performed effectively.
Absolutely.
But how do you perform efficiently? When you have limited resources and then you plan to obtain optimum results with less cost, then you have performed efficiently. And this needs a lot of brain work.
Right.
Most often, it takes government policy also to manage transportation efficiently. The road network.
Yes.
Now, fuel cost is so key. Now, transport managers must be able to design even routes that will incur less energy in terms of fuel.
Right.
You are not just going on the highway to wherever your next destination. You can design routes that will contribute less fuel intake for vehicles. That is management.
Right.
And also, you must be faithful. Timelines are very key in the value chain.
Right.
Because there are certain commodities that are perishable. They must reach the next destination and put under a certain temperature for preservation. If you spend more hours on the road, you end up damaging the item.
Yes.
And then there's loss.
Yeah.
So loss is incurred. So transport and logistics, and then you have to do this with the collaboration with all the stakeholders in the chain. If the goods is coming from a warehouse to another destination, you must have sufficient transparency and visibility. That is tracking of the item at whatever stage. The condition of the item. Are you dealing with the right item? What is the condition of it? Is it the right quantity? If your purchase order is asking for 1,000 pieces and you are transporting 80 pieces, you are doing less harm to your customer.
Falling short, absolutely.
He might promise his clients to supply that, and then you supply less. Have you delivered at the right time, at the right place, at the right price? These are factors you have to take into consideration. So it needs a lot of planning to be able to address all these factors.
Right.
Then you will be operating efficiently. Other than that, you are in trouble. Now, let's take this climate change issue to be very serious.
Right.
Some time ago, world leaders were hammering on climate change, but like the world as a whole did not take climate change issue very seriously. Right now, high temperatures in the atmosphere are forced down to the ground and locked. So heat waves occur. And we are seeing fires all over, destroying agricultural lands and disrupting production hours. You see, all these things affect transportation. So it's like there must be robust collaboration of all stakeholders. We have been operating like islands as enterprises. There must be a paradigm shift. From time to time, stakeholders must brainstorm and look at possible dangers ahead, so that we plan contingency towards that. If you take some of the world-leading giants like Walmart and others, what they did during the COVID, and they were able to sustain production. COVID must have taught us a lot of lessons.
Absolutely.
Enterprises survived during the COVID era because of advanced planning. And we must use data. We must learn to use data, relevant statistical data, reliable ones, to guide us. When that one is relied upon, you cannot be overtaken by disasters and risk. They may come, but you'll be able to mitigate it. And we must learn also to orient our staff, management and staff, and get a psyche that they must be able to work under difficult conditions. You know, the ability to respond to unexpected situations is also key. We churn out scholars, PhD, masters, and all of that. But a certain attitude, attribute to success at a workplace is not there. And it's very, very, very important. I know with the current challenges that the world is facing, managers will look back. And you must always use technology. If you are abreast with information about your flow of cargo coming, and you know because of certain conditions you might not meet timelines, then adopt some hybrid approach to how you handle your businesses. If you have 100 employees, why do you have to load all the 100 to be going and then some who don't have anything to do because the products are not arriving? Adopt some hybrid system. My brother mentioned cost. Cost in production.
Absolutely.
You can reduce costs if you plan properly. If you know raw materials that the workers will work on, then let some adopt a hybrid system. Or they could work from home, remote, so that pressure will not be on utilities at the workplace while they are doing nothing, and then you pay them full salary at the end of the month. So this is how you can plan, and then you sustain and reduce costs and remain very competitive. And of course, you can diversify your supply base.
Absolutely.
You don't have to rely on one supplier. You look at the market, there are a lot of people who have expertise in delivering. Use them so that if A fails, you can rely on another customer or supplier to keep your production going. And we must learn also to motivate workers. It's not only monetary reward that is motivating. From time to time, let's give applaud serious and dedicated workers. It pays a lot. Once you recognize their effort, they exceed expectation. We motivate them. And then before you realize your production targets are met, and we should do constant appraisals to know whether we are on track. Then relate to our supply base.
Awesome. All right, so I think that he has just given us some pointers. That was going to be my next question, how companies can build resilience. And I think that most of the things that he has mentioned are pointers to that particular fact that if they practice these things, perhaps they would be on their way to becoming quite resilient. What are some of the things that companies should be doing in terms of their quest to remain resilient or to become resilient?
Okay. You know, when you pick any typical supply chain, you look at the end-to-end. So we have what is called, for the sake of our viewers, we try to come down for them to really understand.
Absolutely.
You look at the upstream products or raw materials or supply, which is coming from the top.
Right.
Then it comes into the company. The company turns it around, becomes a product. And finally, the product is now given to a distributor or a transporter. Then it gets to the end user or the consumer. So supply chain mindset looks at the end-to-end, right from the source to the final delivery. That's how we've been trained to look at things.
Right.
Now, when you look at the end-to-end, 3 key things comes out to be the main drivers for cost.
Right.
One becomes transportation. And when we talk about transportation in this concept, we are not just talking about necessarily a road transportation. Some could choose to just go by rail. Some could choose to just go by air. Could choose to go by sea. So that is the context that we are looking at. So you look at the context, transportation becomes one of the highest costs within there. Then when you take, the next also becomes warehousing. So assuming you want to now beat down cost, so you want to bring in more goods. But when you bring in those more goods or more consignment or more product, where are you going to now store them? And that becomes the warehousing. It's also a very huge area within the supply chain that also has a huge. And last but not the least, becomes inventory. So we have transportation, warehousing, and inventory. Of course, there are other functions within the supply chain. You could look at packaging, you could look at consolidation, you can look at break bulk. All this material handling, all this become part and parcel. But in the supply chain manager's table, these 3 key things are what he almost always look out for.
Right.
How best do I cut down my transportation costs? Can I do a situation whereby, could I do a situation whereby I give these goods to come by air because of how premium it is? Or should I think that I should rather find a way? So he always almost look at how to cut down transportation cost. Then the next also become warehousing. Does it go by a system whereby become centralized warehousing? Everything is kept in one place. Or he should decentralize. He divide the entire country into 2. For example, he just make sure that the northern sector have their consignment or goods in Kumasi and the southern sector somewhere in Accra or Tema. So you always do that, or you should go by hybrid. A little in-house, a little, being outsourced. Then last but not the least, the inventory, which is money. Because the more goods that you keep in your warehouse, and it means that you are simply keeping money, which is in the form of a stock. So the supply chain manager almost have this one in mind. But for those organizations that make the best out of supply chain and its functions, are organizations that bring supply chain into the C-suite. In other words, they bring supply chain functions and its deliberations into the boardroom. If you leave supply chain at the functional, at the tactical level, as a director, you won't get much from them. If you leave supply chain activities and functions at the operational level, you won't get much. It is when supply chain issues and functions are brought into the boardroom, that is where some of these things can come out. Then strategically, you can also plan for. Then I come to your resilience. For the sake of our viewers, let's break down some of the terms for them to really understand. When we say supply chain resilience, what simply means is, what can you do to ensure that what can you do as for you to come back or bounce back in the face of adversity, in the face of a trouble. And that's simply what we mean by supply chain resilience. So there's a challenge, there's a disruption. What can you do to ensure that you come back quickly and serve your clients and provide satisfaction for them? There are things that we do as professionals within the system. First and foremost, one of the key things we have to do as professionals, be it at the national level, be it at the corporate level, is what I sometimes I call them 3M. First and foremost, you have to make sure that the first M is map out all your suppliers. So throughout the globe, know those who have the strength to produce in times of emergency. Know those that you can rely on to give you your raw material to produce. So map them out. What sometimes happens is supply chain is both art and science. Many organizations practice supply chain and they are just doing the arts. But the moment you bring the science in, that's where the mapping then comes in. So the organization, they may not have people who have what it takes to deliver. And my encouragement and my advice to them is they should find the right people with the technical know-how to help them to get a job done.
Yeah.
When this mapping goes on, you have not finished your job. The next one is also make sure that you continually monitor. So you have a base in China, you have another base in Germany, you have another base, let's say, in Kenya. You must have a team of personnel, and their job is almost every day they are monitoring what is happening within the chain. Is there any breakage in the chain? Can we rely on the next supplier to make sure that he meets the demand? And the last but not the least, within the 3M, become to measure.
Right.
So we map out. We don't just finish by mapping out. We monitor what is going on. Then we continually measure. You know, traditional organizations try to measure their supply chain indicators by every quarter.
Right.
But in these times of disruption, you move from quarter to weeks. So every week, what is happening? Am I getting my goods? And if the goods are not arriving, what is the next thing I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
So you look out for. Quite apart from that, one of the ways you can also build strong resilience within your supply chain, like Mr. Sari said, simply diversify your suppliers.
Yes.
Make sure that you don't rely on one supplier for all these years. And I think COVID taught us a very good lesson. You know, many multinationals across the globe, their major supplier was from China.
Yes.
And unfortunately, 3-4 years ago, the pandemic came.
Yes.
And many organizations had a serious challenges because they couldn't get their supply again. So going forward, the strategy is now don't try to just become mono in nature. Diversify the suppliers. Make sure that whatever you are producing, you have a secondary level product, primary level product, and know which countries, which organizations, which institutions, which areas can easily supply you those ones in there. And among all the strategy, what I love most is make sure that you build a strong collaboration with your partners.
Right.
The whole job that we do as supply chain is activities and function, and we interconnect. And the good news is the glue that interconnects all of them is information. So when information is out of the equation, we have failed. So going forward, to be strong, resilient within the supply chain, make sure that your supplier and your partner, you have a strong collaboration with them. Know what is going on. Know what is going on with their staff.
Right.
Know the challenges in their country. Is there any way you could go in? Because you need them.
Yes.
Yes. When you come to what we do, sometimes we say we have what is called backward integration.
Right.
You try to find a way in such a way that you can even supply, you can even develop your suppliers to meet a certain standard to continue to produce for you. So have a strong collaboration with them and make sure that there's a strong information that easily comes. That is the only way we could know that something is happening within the chain.
Absolutely.
And no wonder within every resilience we have visibility. And what is the essence of the visibility? We want to make sure that within every act within the chain, actors or stakeholders within the chain have timely information so that they can indeed take a decision that can go a long way to help their clients, help their stakeholders, and at the end of the day, even help those who are also being employed in that firm.
Awesome. All right, so pretty shortly we shall be going for a break, but let me come to Mr. Asari and find out from you how, what kind of strategies can be employed, so to speak, to mitigate disruptions in terms of natural disasters and perhaps supply insolvency. I recall you mentioned that they shouldn't depend. He also reiterated that not depend on just one supplier. Can you give us some more, to mitigate, disruptions?
In every crisis, sometimes there is an advantage for entrepreneurs who think ahead.
Right.
You see, right now, disruptions in the world's major trade routes. If you take the Panama Canal, vessels which want to access the western coast of the United States and Canada use the Panama Canal. But what is happening there? The water levels have dropped 10 feet. It means that spaces, a lot of vessels will go with empty space.
Right.
Because of draft issues, they cannot carry load to capacity. It means that supplies will be shortened.
Yes.
If you take the Suez Canal, Egypt is fighting hard to stop the disaster on the Red Sea.
Yes.
Because the revenue for the canal authorities has dropped 23%.
Yes.
And that is huge.
Yes.
That is forcing vessels to use the southern tip of Africa. And somehow it is increasing our cargo throughput in West Africa, even Ghana.
Yes.
Now, we don't pray for the Houthis in Yemen to be posing danger to the Red Sea.
Yes.
But the crisis will solve. But if we up our game well, vessels will still use our ports.
Even after the crisis has been resolved.
Even after the crisis. We must look at the tariff regime as well and build resilience. What can we do to attract the vessels even after the crisis? This also leads to government policy. So you realize that supply chain actors and logistics experts cannot be acting in isolation. There must be regular brainstorming to ensure that agricultural products, there must be export. Vessels must discharge and load at any particular port.
Right.
If the crises are over in the Red Sea, water levels have increased in the Panama Canal, vessels will still find it useful and profitable to use our ports.
Right.
So this boils to the fact that there must always be that collaboration and coordination for stakeholders to brainstorm. So that government policy also plays a role.
Absolutely.
Other than that, we will continue to be blaming nature, which is a feature of existence. We cannot avoid it. We must find ways and means to do that. That is why I find this particular topic, supply chain and logistics, you can't decouple them.
Right.
It's so integrated and complex that players in this arena must always brainstorm and think together, do a lot of research, and make sure that they keep the industry. Africa has been left behind in the global trade. Meanwhile, if you look at the resources available, it's a matter of us committing to thinking properly and focusing on areas where we have control over.
Yes.
Most often, we look at outside where we don't have any control. But domestically, let's focus on areas where we can have control. I have said that cost element in all these transactions is key.
Absolutely.
If we realize that at a certain point in time, due to climate change, we are not getting the raw materials, few staff must work.
Absolutely.
So that you save money for the company. Financial auditing is also important. So that you realize that this time, it is not degrees and papers that you have passed your interview and you are called a manager or that kind of thing. You really have to sit up and think and come along with the staff from top to bottom. You set targets, you break it down, everybody understands what they are doing, and then we monitor and evaluate.
Absolutely.
From time to time. He mentioned that if it is done quarterly, it should not be monthly, even weekly.
Okay.
So that everybody knows whether we are on track or not. Otherwise, you invest so much. Ghana,
you have little to show.
Yes, a lot of people have invested only for the business to crumble because we are not conscious of how to manage by using data and forecasting accurately. I think that this should be our next line of action.
Right. Okay, so this is Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at supply chain resilience and how to manage and mitigate organizational risks and disruptions. And with us in the studios, two fellows from the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, in the persons of Mr. Ephraim Asari, who is the Vice President of CILT in charge of logistics, and indeed Mr. Patrick Ando, also a fellow, also Executive Secretary, CILT Ghana. They are the two gentlemen we are having a discussion with tonight. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we will activate the phone lines for you to call in and also take your messages and then continue the discussion.
Electricity, pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Oga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome to the GPHA port of Takoradi, Ghana's first commercial port. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority (GPHA) has in its quest to position the ports of Ghana as the leading trade and logistics hub of West Africa, embarked on a massive expansion drive at its Takoradi port, the first commercial port of the country. This has resulted in a radical transformation of the initial 7-berth low-drafted port, which was constructed in 1928, to an ultra-modern port fitted with deep drafted container, multi-purpose dry bulk, and liquid bulk facilities. The 16-meter deep dry bulk terminal is the deepest in the sub-region, with a total quay length of 800 meters. It is fitted with a combined 3-kilometer length conveyor system, which comes with a 2,500 metric tons per hour ship loading capacity, which has greatly improved ship turnaround time at the port. The Marshall Liquid Bulk Terminal is a fully automated liquid bulk facility dredged to -14 chart datum and equipped with automated firefighting system. The facility is fitted with 5 loading arms for gasoline, diesel, LPG, bitumen, and heavy fuel. On the container side, Takoradi Port's 16-meter deep Yield-Port and ATSL container terminal with a quay length of 600 is expected to receive container vessels in the 3rd quarter of the year.
All right, welcome back. This is our Port here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at supply chain resilience and how to manage or mitigate risks, organizational risks and disruptions. So that's in the studios, Mr. Ephraim Asari, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. He's also the Vice President, CILT Ghana, in charge of logistics, and indeed Mr. Patrick Ando, who is also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Indeed, he's the Executive Secretary of CILT Ghana. They're the two gentlemen we're having the discussions with. I've been told by the production team the line's activated. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Now, some of your messages have come through. This one is from Albert in Kaswa. He says, considering the reliance on imports for many essential products, what initiatives are being taken to promote local manufacturing and reduce Ghana's vulnerability to global supply chain disruptions? Can our guests please tell us what they know?
Better and becomes attractive, then we may have a lot of investors who want to come to town to ensure that they indeed establish and get things done. A case in hand is the example that I gave about Rana Motors having the assembly plants in town. There was an enable environment. They took advantage of it and they set up the enable. And the good news is when such enable environment is created and such establishments are done, the ripple effect is huge and big. Beyond, we have a short lead time to product and services.
Yes.
The good news also is you have employment for the youths.
Yes.
We have a lot of them who easily be employed. And the good news also beyond that also is that these youth also ensure that they have the technical know-how. That also stays here. And also they pass it on. Because these assembly plants in town, they're also coming with technology.
Yes.
The experts are also coming. So at the end of the day, knowledge transfer. It's not the fact that we're having it alone, but the knowledge is also stay here, and the ripple effect become bigger and bigger. When having that, it means that you can easily be able to take care of the needs of customers when they place an order. You have a long lead time. You will reduce the quest of disappointment, where at the end of the day, your client will run away from it. So having the enabling environment, to me, is key.
Very key. Okay, so let's go on to the phone lines, go straight to Tema and welcome Daniel. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Awesome. Great to have you, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm a chartered member of CILT.
Oh, okay, awesome. Right.
Yeah, I want to add up to what Mr. Sari is saying.
Sure, please do.
Yeah, I see it has been a time that you use data in decision making.
Right.
Yeah, it has been a time that you need data in decision making.
Yes.
Because you look at even those who are dealing with bulk cargo. Yeah, if you have a proper supply chain manager or a planner, you would at a point in time know how much do I have in my silo, how much do I have in a vessel coming to me, how much sales is my marketing making in a day. Hence, let us assume that you are working with a cement manufacturing company. You know that you have a target of 5,000 metric tons to sell in a day.
Right.
So you consider that, look, how much should be in my silo, how much should be in my warehouse, and how much should be on the vessel that's coming from the port, as well as vessel on IC.
Right.
If you don't have that planning, at any time you need to go and rent warehouse. What's the cost?
Yeah.
You understand? And another one is transporting goods to your suppliers.
Right.
Look, in Ghana, you are transporting to the north, everywhere. You ask yourself, I'm to supply a product to somebody in Accra, as well as somebody in Tamale. Is it necessary for me to load goods that are going to Tamale early in the morning? No. Why won't you go to Accra, come back, so that at afternoon time, when the road is clear for you, there's no traffic, you can go straight to Kumasi or Tema. You could realize that when you have been able to do that, within 24 hours, you have been able to supply North as well as Accra, thereby making good use of your transport. And thirdly, until recently that we know that, look, the trucks that are plying on our road, there is a fuel consumption attached here. People don't know. Go and fill it at the filling station at a very huge cost.
Yes.
But a good supply chain or logistics manager will know that, look, this China truck that I'm using, 2 liters for one kilometer.
Okay.
You understand? When you're able to get those data resilience in supply chain will always go high.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Daniel, who's also a chartered member of CILT Ghana. We are grateful to you for the inputs you've made tonight on Iron Port. You can also call. The number to dial is 020-552-8353. 020-552-8353 is right on your screen. You can call and contribute to the discussion. Now we're going back to the messages, and let me see. Yes, this one is from Mark Azure in Accra. He says, given the evolving needs of Ghana's logistics infrastructure, what strategies are being implemented to enhance the efficiency of goods movement across the country, particularly in light of the growing demands on our ports and road networks? Did we get that?
Come again.
Or should I take it? Okay, let me come again. It's from Makazure in Accra. It says, given the evolving needs of Ghana's logistics infrastructure, what strategies are being implemented to enhance the efficiency of goods movement across the country, the movement of goods across the country, so to speak, particularly in light of the growing demands on our ports and road networks?
Okay, so let me begin so that Mr. Sari also comes.
All right, sure.
I think as logisticians and transportants, we are commanders of the 5 modes of transport.
Yes.
If it's not road, it must be the sea. If it's not the sea, by the air pipeline. But if you observe what we have in our country, there has been huge over-reliance on the road transport.
Right.
Where almost everything goes through the road. I think it's about time that we take bold leadership decision and look at how we can now break down this portfolio.
Yes.
Because if you have huge consignments which are heavy in nature, it's not ideal for you to carry those consignments by road. So I would just say that everything begins with leadership. And our leaders must be able to be bold, take drastic decision, and see how we can now begin to give attention to other sectors, especially the rail.
Right.
I think over the decades, we are seeing bits and pieces of developing the railway sector. We must be more intentional.
Right.
We must be more deliberate and give much attention to that particular development on that sector.
Right.
When that is done, then we can also reduce the over-reliance, on
the roads.
And the road infrastructure can also last. Because since now all consignment and goods are using the same road and there's over-reliance, the longevity, the lifespan of the road itself cannot even stand the test of time. But if we're able to diversify and ensure that we bring on board, and like I said, it must be intentional, it must be bold. It's capital intensive, but countries who have been bold to go that direction, at the end of the day, the ripple effect is huge and big. And that's what I would just really encourage.
Right.
We must all come on board, be bold, and leadership should take the shot and ensure that we give an attention to railway sector so that we can diversify over-reliance on the road that we continue to have.
Yes. Mr. Sari.
Yes. To buttress that point, yes, it is true, the various modes of transport, the road sector takes the chunk.
Absolutely.
Yes. We can still improve that to reduce cost of particularly food inflation.
Right.
If you go around the country as we speak, there's a lot of foodstuffs at the production areas.
Right.
If you go to the shops and the markets, the food is there, its availability is there, but the price, the cost. Why? I have taken a little survey around the Harbour Enclave.
Yes.
From the Harbour roundabout all the way to Sakumano MPS area.
Yes.
And have counted thousands of articulated trucks.
Yes.
Littered all over the place.
Yeah.
They are all looking for containers to carry from the port.
Yeah.
And some have stayed there for months without moving. I know it's an even problem to GPHA as to how they have all clustered over there without paying anything.
Absolutely.
So, how do we harness these potential materials to bring foodstuffs from the hinterland?
Yeah.
I think that going forward, logistics and transport, they're trying to collaborate with GPRTU, transport operators, so that there must be a way of making them move to the hinterland and bring foodstuffs.
Yes.
Most of the time,
rather than parking and being idle.
Exactly. You see a small cargo truck going all the way to Takoradi area to pick some few tubers of yam.
Yeah.
And then you look at the diesel cost.
Yeah, sure.
And he comes with that
you have
little
a bigger truck.
Yeah,
sure.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is where we should be moving to. Because the truck owner who has parked his vehicle around the port enclave there looks for a job.
Yeah.
Somebody must move the idea to him. So I think that we must refocus.
Yeah.
I have said that we should leverage on areas where we have control. And then get the parties involved.
Absolutely.
Then we can push something positive.
Yeah.
That alone can solve. We have the trucks, the vehicles in the system.
Yeah.
How to mobilize to bring relief is what is important.
It's lacking, okay.
We have to do that.
Okay. All right. So Abdullah in Ashaiman says, how are Ghanaian businesses adapting to the increased activity at Tema Port, and what collaborative measures are being taken to streamline operations and manage costs effectively?
Come again with the question.
Yes. He says, how are Ghanaian businesses adapting to the increased activity at Tema Port, and what collaborative measures are being taken to streamline operations and manage costs effectively?
All right. So what normally happens is within the sector that we operate, like we said earlier on, we don't live in an island.
Yes.
It's more of a stakeholder engagement. So listen to my brother's question. If there are challenges and there's issues at the Tema Port, one way that we could all solve issues is to just collaborate and begin to now dialogue.
Absolutely.
It's out of dialogue that we now begin to know the direction in which we have to take.
Yes.
I must be quick to make this statement. You know, we live in a country, and my humble appeal and encouragement is we must become solution-oriented.
Absolutely.
Troubles and challenges are all over. If we continue to just complain, we will never more.
Absolutely.
With what we have and what we can do with, what can we do with it? So if we begin to have the mindset where we are solution-oriented, then we can begin to also find solution to challenges that come on our way.
Yes.
So the first place of call to have a dialogue, let's sit, we all sit. Okay, management of GPHA, if the issue has to do, come into the boardroom. Other stakeholders also come to the boardroom. And out of the dialogue, we come out with a solution to ensure that we bring peace in whatever challenges that we're having in that place.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one says, considering recent events like temporary border closures with neighboring countries, what initiatives are being undertaken to strengthen the resilience of Ghana's supply chains and ensure continuous availability of essential goods to consumers? Prudence in Tema sent in this one. Did you get it, or I should take it again?
I think I'll make a statement before Mr.
Okay, so before you come in, let's pick Emmanuel. I understand we have Emmanuel on the line. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Awesome. Please go ahead.
I am saying that I used to go to Tema Anchorage, and almost all the vessels there have moving to Togo Anchorage. Just from Togo yesterday, and the vessels I saw at the Anchorage, I was surprised. And I just want to know, what are we not doing right for all these vessels? Because if the vessels are at the Tema Anchorage, we have supply chains that used to supply them water, food stores, and all these things.
Ancillary services, yeah.
There is something that we are not doing right. So I just want to ask, what can we do right for the vessels to be anchoring in our anchorage?
Okay, please let me stay with you a bit. Did you say you were in Togo yesterday and you saw that most of the vessels had anchored in Ghana and have moved there?
I'm saying that I came from Togo Anchorage yesterday.
Yes. And what you are saying is that most of the vessels you saw there, can you lower the volume on your TV set, please? So you can hear me, yes. What you are saying is that most of the vessels that you saw at the Togo Anchorage moved from Ghana to that place, right?
Yes. Some of them can come to Tema Port and discharge, but I don't know what is going wrong. Instead of them to stay at Tema Anchorage, they will move to Togo Anchorage.
And you are sure they are from Ghana?
Many.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you very much indeed, Emmanuel. We are grateful to you for your call. I just wanted to be very sure that he knew that indeed the vessels at Togo were from Ghana, because sometimes you might not have the right information, or you might not be sure that they indeed are from Ghana. Yeah,
you are right. We cannot sit here and make a conclusion to say that it is AOP.
Absolutely.
This is what he has observed.
Yes.
We must also go down.
And check.
Like we said a few minutes ago, in today's world, it's more data-driven decision making.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You shouldn't just be hearsay.
Yeah.
You must know what is on the ground.
Exactly.
And take decision so that we can all go forward with solution.
Exactly.
But like I said, we must be more solution oriented. So whatever he has said, I think we will not leave it here.
Yeah, we'll
pick
take
it up.
Good faith and find out what the issues are.
Follow it up
Absolutely,
and
yes.
ensure that we bring solution
Yes.
to it.
So Prudence, we're going to deal with Prudence's question. She's in Tema. She says, considering recent events like temporary border closures with neighboring countries, what initiatives are being undertaken to strengthen the resilience of Ghana's supply chains and ensure continuous availability of essential goods to consumers?
So, technically, just briefly on the anchorage issue.
Yes.
It is not every vessel that we call at anchorage that might be destined for a particular port.
Right.
It might be there maybe to seek some information or change crew.
Yes.
So it is important that those things are investigated properly to see whether they were bound for Tema or Takoradi port and before proceeding to other destinations.
Right.
So one may get it wrong to say that a vessel is just at anchorage and has moved.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to maintain the flow of cargo in the neighboring countries, these political upheavals in our neighbors' territory, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, does not necessarily interfere with trade.
Yes.
My checks have shown that despite the geopolitical upheavals, trade is still even increasing at Tema port in terms of transit.
Yes.
I think going forward, what we need to do is more collaboration between this Chamber of Commerce of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, so that they are updated on daily basis on the situation on the ground.
Right.
The Harbours states,
Absolutely.
the World Logistics Index, and all of that. If we just leave them in the dark, they might not be able to understand what is happening at the port level.
Yes.
And I also want to appeal to GPHA, the landlords.
Yes.
They have come far in terms of infrastructure and all of that that facilitate trade. They should up their game. Like I've said, the crisis in the Red Sea area is making more vessels to pass through our corridors.
Absolutely.
We should try to hold on to the transit trade.
Right.
Get information. Let's get these various chambers on the round table regularly.
Yes.
Meetings must be religiously conducted.
Yes.
Let's assure them that no, the Tema and Takoradi ports are the corridors safe for them. Already our hospitality towards them is high. And when we do that, flow of traffic will be free. Already the African Continental Free Trade Area, we are hosting the headquarters here.
Yes.
We can use these structures to bring them on board.
Right.
So that the inland flow of traffic and the flow of goods will be very beneficial to everybody.
Absolutely. Right. With respect to, getting the chambers to sit and to find out what the issues are and to capitalize on transit trade, I'm aware for a fact that the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority have often embarked on trade missions to the Sahelin countries of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso almost on a yearly basis. I think when COVID came, it was curtailed a bit, but I know that last year they were there, and this year plans are far advanced for that trade mission to be embarked on. And so I think that is something that they are doing. But to bring the chambers of commerce and all those things together, I think that it's also something that needs to. Because I know that the executives of those chambers are constant visitors to my boss's office, GM Marketing, Madam Esther Jebidonko. And so the GPHA is doing a lot in that direction. So just in 30 seconds, if you can give us your last words, Mr. Ando, and then we wrap up because time is already not on our side.
Oh, okay. What I wanted to simply say is when you take any sector in Ghana, there's supply chain.
Okay.
Is it the health sector? Is it the agriculture sector? The mining sector?
Yeah.
Every sector, every organization have a supply chain, but they may not necessarily know that it's a function in there.
Yeah.
What happens is most of the time, our knowledge in one area does not cover our ignorance in another area.
Absolutely.
If we don't have the skill set when it comes to supply chain logistics, you pay dearly for it.
Yes.
So I want to encourage all
organizations,
executive and leaders that it's about time we begin to give more attention to this area, especially to advance some knowledge and skill set to our SMEs in that order.
Awesome. And that was the voice of Mr. Patrick Ando, Fellow Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Ghana. He's also the Executive Secretary of CILT Ghana. And indeed, also in the studios has been Mr. Ephraim Asari, also a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport and Vice President in charge of Logistics at CILT Ghana. And that's how we draw the curtain on tonight's edition of Eye on Port here on Metropolitan Television. We'd like to say big thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Regional Authority, GWEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance. Indeed, God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of your favorite Eye on Port program. We entreat you to watch the abridged version on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Ghana Television. My name is Kennedy Mona, and we entreat you to keep watching the rest of our programs here, and see you, God willing, next week. Have a blessed week ahead.